Imagine trying to negotiate a Hollywood contract for, like, an A-list actor to play a 1,600-year-old former succubus.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that.
Right. And now, imagine trying to balance that negotiation alongside Henry Cavill riding a modified Harley-Davidson through a magical forest.
Natural.
Like while he's conjuring gasoline out of thin air using quantum
It
physics.
sounds like an absolute fever dream.
It literally does.
Wow.
But today, we are looking at a stack of leaked, highly confidential production notes that are trying to make that exact scenario a reality.
Which is just wild to actually see on paper.
Seriously. We are taking a deep dive into the source material for this wildly ambitious casting and promotional strategy for the live-action adaptation of An American Biker in Another World.
Yeah, and for you listening, translating a property like this is a monumental logistical puzzle.
Definitely.
Because if you're new to this specific franchise, we are talking about taking a story from its light novel roots,
Which are basically those Japanese young adult books, right?
Yeah.
With the anime-style illustrations.
Exactly, yeah, heavily serialized. And they are attempting to elevate that into this HBO tier prestige live-action cinematic universe.
Which is no small task.
Not at all. The documents we're unpacking today outline the dream cast for this massive endeavor, but more importantly, they reveal the hidden mechanics of how a studio builds an ensemble that can actually survive the transition from the page to the screen.
Because CGI has just a staggering price tag.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, when you read a fantasy epic, the characters live in your head as these, like, limitless mythic beings.
Yeah.
A character can be 10 feet tall and wreathed in blue fire, and it costs your imagination exactly $0 to visualize.
Right, it's totally free.
The second you tried to put that on a screen, every frame of that fire costs the studio tens of thousands of dollars.
You hit the hard wall of physical reality really fast.
Yeah, you really do. And that physical and financial wall is what we are breaking down today, starting with the absolute core of the story, which is the two leads.
Right, because you cannot build a massive, sprawling ensemble without first laying a rock-solid foundation. And the narrative here is wildly complex.
Yeah, let's get into that.
So you have Michael Joseph Hatcher, who is this 6'2", 40-year-old former outlaw biker and gun runner.
A real gritty guy.
Very. And he finds faith in a terrestrial prison cell, only to get accidentally summoned to a magical realm called Eldoria.
As you do?
As one does, yeah. And he becomes known as Preacher, wielding this godlike power called the ethereal blue flame.
Okay, so that's where the CGI budget goes.
Exactly. And ultimately, he has to build an alliance through a diverse array of powerful wives to stop a 1,000-year war.
It's so much to tackle. And the casting notes for Preacher are incredibly specific about how they want to handle this.
They really are.
Yeah, they highlight a need for this, quote, gravely Witcher voice, a massive physical presence and controlled masculinity. They want him to be the perfect fit for a redeemed outlaw who is literally imbued with divine fire. And their top pick is Henry Cavill.
Which is a highly strategic choice when you look at the mechanics of audience buy-in,
How so?
Well, Preacher is a man who spent a decade in a gritty terrestrial prison before being thrust into this high fantasy landscape. He rides a motorcycle through mystical forests.
Yeah, which could look ridiculous.
Exactly. If you cast someone who leans too hard into the absurdity of that premise, the whole show becomes a parody.
Oh, for sure.
But Cavill has proven he can anchor a heavy, lore-dense fantasy while maintaining a stoic, commanding screen presence. He brings this inherent physical weight that grounds the more fantastical anime tropes of the character into a gritty reality.
But grounding the fantasy is just half the battle, though.
Right.
Because then you have Iris Velaris, who is Preacher's first wife, and she is not just a sidekick.
Not at all.
No, she is a rust red-haired fox demi-human.
Which, for those unfamiliar with the term, a demi-human in these stories is essentially a humanoid character with distinct animal traits.
Right, so in her case, fox ears and eventually 9 tails. But her backstory is brutal. She's a former slave of the Asolarian Empire who survives to become the Queen of the Beast Kingdom, wielding quantum healing magic.
That's a lot of layers.
It really is. And to play her, the casting notes demand regal intensity, emotional depth, and a blend of grace and ferocity. And the dream cast here is Keira Knightley.
I mean, this is where the casting directors are utilizing the psychological associations we already have with certain actors.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, Iris's character requires an actress who can portray deep, lingering trauma from her time as a slave, but also the sharp, visionary intellect of a political strategist.
Someone who uses marriage and diplomacy to forge a tri-kingdom alliance.
Exactly. And Knightley excels at playing women who are constrained by their oppressive circumstances, but possess an unbreakable, fierce inner will.
Right, you see her in a period piece, and you know she's not going to just sit quietly.
Precisely. When the audience sees her, they immediately anticipate a complex, dramatic performance.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because pairing Cavill's gritty, heavyweight stoicism with Knightley's sharp, regal intensity is like mixing a smoky bourbon with fine champagne.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, it immediately signals to the audience that this is prestige fantasy, not a B-movie.
It really does. It's less like mixing drinks and more like balancing an audio equalizer, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, if everyone on screen is a high-frequency treble, the scene screeches and becomes exhausting to watch. Cavill is the deep, grounding bass in this scenario.
Oh, wow, yeah.
His heavy, quiet presence allows Knightley's sharp, high-frequency emotional intensity to cut right through the mix without overwhelming the audience.
So by grounding this wild high fantasy concept with highly recognizable dramatic heavyweights, the creators are forcing the mainstream audience to take the emotional stakes seriously.
Exactly. I mean, An American Biker in Another World features a lot of classic anime and manga elements.
Like the magical summoning, the beastkin, the harem dynamic.
Right. And if you cast unknown actors, mainstream Western audiences might instinctively dismiss it as niche or goofy. Cavill and Knightley establish a prestige emotional tone for the entire production.
Okay, wait, let me stop you there.
Sure.
Because if you're listening to this, you might be wondering the exact same thing I am right now.
What's that?
Once you have Cavill and Knightley anchoring the series, how do you cast an ensemble of wives who can share the screen without completely destroying that balance?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right. Like, if you bring in an absolute powerhouse to play one of the other wives, doesn't she just immediately suck all the oxygen out of the room?
You would think so.
Yeah. How does Keira Knightley not get completely overshadowed in her own show, considering Iris is supposed to be the first wife and matriarch of this massive family?
That is the exact tightrope the casting directors have to walk. And the mechanism they're using to solve it is casting completely distinct emotional lanes.
Emotional lanes.
Yeah. You have to match the actor's inherent aura to the character's ethereal traits so that no two wives occupy the same psychological space.
Oh, okay. Give me an example.
Take Iloan, for example. She is the high elf queen of the Silverwood.
Right.
She's 125 years old, but appears to be in her 20s, and she projects ancient grace and intimidating elegance. The casting choice here is Cate Blanchett.
Wow.
Yeah, specifically leveraging her iconic Galadriel energy. The notes even list Tilda Swinton as an alternate.
That is wild.
Yeah.
But both of those actors possess a quality that you simply cannot teach in an acting class, which is timelessness.
Exactly.
Like when Elowen speaks, she is speaking with the weight of ancient lore and light magic. You need an actor who inherently feels like they've been alive for centuries, just observing the petty squabbles of mortals.
Precisely. Blanchett's Elowen occupies a space of ancient, untouchable, almost detached aura. And that does not compete with Knightley's fiercely empathetic trauma survivor energy.
They aren't fighting for the same spotlight.
Exactly. They are in completely different lanes. Then you look at Seraphina, the half-elf. The notes specifically ask for 5'11" energy.
I love that phrase, 5'11" energy.
It's so specific. They want a tall, regal warrior princess who becomes empress of the Aslierian Empire.
Yeah.
And the creators want Pom Clementia for this.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Noting her mixed heritage and proven ability to play serene, yet immensely powerful, stoic characters. Rila Fukushima is listed as an alternate here, pointing to a need for striking features that translate manga character designs into striking live-action visuals.
Yeah.
Seraphina is militaristic and disciplined, so again, a totally different lane from Elowen or Iris.
And then there's Angela, who just completely shatters the mold.
Oh, Angela is fascinating.
Yeah, she's a 1,600-year-old former succubus who became human after bonding with Preacher, though she retains her magical abilities and is the head researcher at the ancient lab.
Right.
And the notes say she needs to be petite-like, around 5'0", but emotionally complex, balancing innocence with extreme danger. And they cast Japanese actress Ai Morikawa, with Kana Hashimoto as an alternate for her expressive eyes.
Angela represents a classic anime archetype brought to life, which is the physically diminutive character who harbors terrifying ancient power.
Yes. The contrast between her playful, flirtatious exterior and her ruthless 1600-year-old intellect requires an actor who can pivot between adorable and lethal in a single breath.
Exactly. And Ai Morikawa occupies a lane of sharp, volatile, chaotic danger.
So by ensuring every single wife has a radically different energy-like, timeless, militaristic, chaotic, they prevent the characters from bleeding into one another.
That's the goal. And Knightley's Iris remains the emotional anchor because her specific lane is the connective tissue that holds Preacher's fractured world together.
Building that ecosystem of personalities is fascinating, but the world of Eldoria requires more than just emotional lanes.
Oh, definitely.
It requires highly specialized demi-humans and spirits. And here, the casting philosophy makes a massive pivot.
It really does.
We move away from pure dramatic acting ability and into the realm of physical, kinetic storytelling.
Right, because in a manga or an anime, you communicate a character's non-human nature through stylized animation.
The medium kind of does the heavy lifting for you.
Exactly. In live action, if you just glue cat ears on an actor, it looks like a Halloween costume.
Yeah, it looks super cheap.
It's the actor's micro-movements, their posture, their center of gravity. That is what sells the illusion that they are fundamentally a different species.
Take Silvio, for example, the cat demi-human, who serves as a ninja warrior and Preacher's intelligence director.
Right.
The role demands feline grace and cunning. The notes cast Tao Tsuchiya, specifically noting her incredible physical range and ability to be playful yet deadly, with Minami Hamabe as the alternate.
Great choices.
Or look at Ariloan, the forest spirit. She needs to feel earthy and entirely non-human. So the creators cast Sonoya Mizuno, and they specifically cite her background as a ballet dancer.
Which is so smart.
Here's where it gets really interesting for you listening.
Yeah.
Using a dancer like Sonoya Mizuno for a forest spirit isn't just an acting choice, it's a physical one. It's almost architectural.
Absolutely.
It's like casting an actual Olympic gymnast to play Spider-Man. The movement itself is the character.
Mizuno's innate control over her body allows her to move in ways that feel fluid, unpredictable, and alien. This physical casting is what elevates the material.
Right.
It prevents the demi-human characters from looking like humans merely playing dress-up. It gives the adaptation that truly cinematic HBO-level quality.
Yeah, the notes also detail Kellyanne, an ancient revive from a stasis tube, requiring someone who can portray timeless wisdom mixed with modern confusion.
And they cast Rinko Kikuchi for her deep emotional gravity.
Such a good pick. And Ariel, a 200-year-old humanoid angel, is cast with Adriar Arjona for her angelic, serene power.
But building a physical ecosystem of dancers, martial artists, and A-listers creates a terrifying challenge when adapting a Japanese light novel for a global audience.
Oh, the cultural translation.
Yes, the cultural translation. The source material features several human wives from Earth who bring a very different dynamic to the story.
Right, you have Yukiko and Shizuku, Japanese high school students who were accidentally transported to Eldoria via a wormhole.
Right.
The notes describe Yukiko as having a calm tea ceremony grace, while Shizuku is the quiet observer.
And if you're picturing your standard, highly exaggerated anime high school trope here, you really have to look at how the production notes subvert it to make it work in prestige television.
Yeah, they aren't casting these roles for comic relief.
No, not at all. They are casting for deep-rooted Japanese character archetypes that provide a cultural contrast to the loud, violent world of Eldoria.
Which brings us to the most crucial casting choice for bridging these cultures, which is Dr. Naira Mehta, the quantum physicist from Earth.
Yes, Naira is so important.
She is functionally the key to making this whole adaptation work for a non-Japanese audience. In the lore, she serves as the cultural bridge between the Western sensibilities of Preacher and the Japanese backgrounds of Yukiko and Shizuku.
She is literally the one translating the bizarre mechanics of this universe for the viewer.
Exactly. And finally, you have Suzuko, a physicist from an alternate Earth who embodies this explosive protective energy, like the absolute definition of don't mess with my family.
So when you lay all of these choices out, you are looking at an ensemble that spans massive cultural and physical spectrums.
Yeah.
You have British royalty energy, Hollywood blockbuster energy, classical ballet physicality, and deeply rooted Japanese cultural archetypes all sharing the screen. It is an incredibly ambitious creative puzzle.
Which brings us to a terrifying real-world problem.
Ah, yes, the budget.
The budget. How on earth does a studio justify the upfront cost of all this bespoke physical talent and A-list star power?
It's a great question.
We have to transition from the creative choices to the hard contract math, because the production notes reveal a masterclass in modern franchise structuring.
They really do.
When you bring together actors like Henry Cavill and Keira Knightley, you aren't just paying salaries. You are dealing with premium co-brand packages.
Right, because the underlying math here is the hidden engine of Hollywood. Traditionally, massive stars take a smaller upfront fee in exchange for back-end points.
Which is like a percentage of the profits, right?
Exactly. A percentage of the profits and long-term royalties on everything from box office returns to action figure sales for the next 20 years.
Wow.
The Notes project that Cavill alone commands 5 to 10% of a given back-end or promotional pie.
That's huge.
And Knightley, when paired with Cavill, commands 6 to 10%. Together, they create a massive financial footprint that could easily bankrupt a studio if the property underperforms.
But the marketing strategy to pay for this is wildly specific and totally bypasses that traditional model.
It's so clever.
The plan outlines 4 major global promotional events. And here is the critical detail. Only Cavill and Knightley appear at these specific events.
Yeah.
And they will appear strictly in character.
Which is the crazy part.
Right. Full costume, full styling, full fantasy presentation. Preacher in his black duster with his braided hair, and Iris in her rust-red hair, fox ears, and royal beast kingdom attire.
It is a brilliant financial maneuver known as a limited co-brand activation.
Wait, I have to ask how this actually plays out in reality.
Okay, yeah.
Because appearing in full fantasy costume for a global press tour, isn't that highly unusual?
Very unusual.
Usually, actors want to be seen as themselves in designer suits on the red carpet, doing interviews about their craft. They don't want to do glorified cosplay at a press junket. It feels like a massive, almost insulting ask for A-list talent.
It is a massive ask, but it's driven by a highly specific financial mechanism, which is the temporary likeness license.
Okay, break that down for us.
So this isn't a traditional press tour where they sit in directors' chairs and answer questions. The studio is essentially renting the actors' faces and physical presence for a highly concentrated series of weekend events.
That's it.
By doing this, the studio pays massive upfront appearance fees, but they bypass paying those long-term royalties for every single piece of merchandise sold over the next 2 decades.
So it's a strategic financial gamble. The studio pays an absolute premium right now to own the long-term profits forever.
Exactly. And the cultural impact of this strategy is immediate. By having Cavill and Knightley appear strictly in character, they generate massive spikes in social media engagement.
Oh, it would completely break the internet.
Totally. It directly drives merchandise sales, anime tie-in viewership, and inspires an army of cosplayers. It turns the actors into living, breathing brand ambassadors.
Wow.
They aren't Henry and Keira standing in front of a step-and-repeat banner. They are Preacher and Iris walking into the real world.
It's treating the actors almost like theme park characters, but at the highest possible tier of celebrity.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
The studio gets an iconic viral moment that will live on the internet forever, and the actors get a massive guaranteed upfront payout without tangling their estates in decades of complex royalty litigation.
Win-win.
Yeah, and in anime and manga, character design is everything. The visual silhouette of a character is their entire identity.
Completely.
By bringing those exact designs into the real world via Cavill and Knightley, the studio validates the medium for a mainstream audience who might otherwise dismiss it.
It proves that creating a successful live-action adaptation of a sprawling fantasy franchise is a two-front war.
Oh, 100%.
On the creative front, you need brilliant, culturally diverse casting to make the fantasy feel emotionally resonant. You need physical performers who can bring non-human tropes to life without looking silly.
Right.
But on the financial front, you need razor-sharp contract structuring. You can have the greatest cast in the world, but if the back-end math doesn't work, the show simply never gets made.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to mull over.
Always the best part.
We've just spent all this time looking at an incredibly specific, meticulously designed cast meant to embody Preacher and his wives. If this adaptation becomes a global phenomenon, like if Cavill and Knightley's faces are plastered everywhere in full, glorious fantasy costume. How will that change the way readers experience the original books or manga?
It's the ultimate double-edged sword of a perfect adaptation.
It really is. Will Henry Cavill's face and Keira Knightley's voice permanently overwrite your own imagination? It's a fascinating look at how adaptations don't just translate a source material into a new medium. They have the power to entirely overwrite our collective memory of it.
Yeah, that's so true.
When you open a book, your imagination has an unlimited budget. But once Hollywood catches that lightning in a bottle and puts a famous face on it,
Yeah,
well, can you ever unsee it?
probably not.
Definitely something to think about the next time you picture your favorite character. Thanks for taking this deep dive into the source material with us. Keep reading, keep questioning, and keep imagining.